It's Krista here to do the weekly reading for the sign of Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This is for Capricorn for the week of September 12th to the 19th. And as always, if this isn't resonating with you or you'd like further information for the week, please check out your Moon and Rising signs readings on top of your Sun sign reading today. So we are using the Medicine card tarot for your 3-card spread today. And then as always, drawing additional message cards from the Healing with the Angels tarot and the Wisdom of the Oracle tarot. So this is a general reading. Whatever is most prominent in your life, I encourage you to take these messages and apply them to, and hopefully you find them helpful and healing. So what does Capricorn need to know? Okay, so we had a pile there. I am going to keep shuffling until we get one jumper at a time, ideally. Not surprised to see that there, Capricorn. You've been having really intense, I would call occult energy of late over the past several months. So let me just get a little snapshot of what's going on with all the cards together, and then we'll look at them one by one. So generally what I'm seeing here is that an opportunity for a personal transformation awaits you, and something that you must be willing to get to the heart of or nitty-gritty of is available to you. It will probably have to do with long-held beliefs or attitudes. Not so much opinions, because they sort of come and go with the weather, but long-held beliefs and opinions, viewpoints, habits, attitudes, and I'm speaking belief systems including religion. And it could be that you're taking yourself to task as well. So something's really being scrutinized. You really want to get to the nitty-gritty of it. Hopefully it's for the best. It's to help evolve yourself, but you're getting close. You're close to the ground this week. Your feet are on the ground this week. And like I said, there is an opportunity for spiritual development. Just be aware that you don't come off as somewhat intimidating this week to someone else. And that you do recognize that as much as you can see through someone else, particularly this week, if your antenna is up, and it probably is, just be aware that theirs is too. So whomever's company you are in this week are going to have the same type of antenna. So it's a really good week to sort of find your tribe and not pick fights, especially for no reason, especially for really insignificant things like opinions, okay? And while your feet are closer to the ground here and a transformation is available to you, you want to remember that as well. You could be vulnerable this week as well during this probable or possible transformation for yourself. Again, the question as I shuffled was, what do you need to know? So perhaps you already are aware of all this and you're not surprised by any of it, but perhaps you plan to go through the week in a certain way or by a certain design, and this is suggesting, okay, hey, there's another way to deal with the week, or this is what you're being asked to do for your highest good and to fulfill something deep within you this week, because of course we have an extremely deep occult or esoteric card here. So that's a nice little synopsis. Let's look at these one by one together. Butterfly in your central position. This represents you. Of course, we have transformation. This is where an actual transformation can occur, but what needs to happen before that is that you need to be aware that a transformation not only must occur, but that you're in process of it. And very likely what's happened here as with the, all butterflies when they go from cocoon to these beautiful beings, is that something had to sort of fall apart. So something could look like it's falling apart or be tricky or uncomfortable this week, especially around belief systems, as I said, or viewpoints or long-held concepts and understandings. Something's being picked apart here, or you're being asked to pick something apart here. And so the process could look a little messy or feel uncomfortable, but that is part and parcel of getting to this stage. So just remember that, like, if you're willing to turn into that butterfly and really create, manifest that transformation long term, obviously this will life-changing. You do need to go through certain processes here. This is, I'm just going to point to this for the time being, just because it is general energy for all cards involved. Wow. Of course, we're looking at occult, witchcraft, sorcery, priest, priestess, this type of energy here. So the transformation, if it is a spiritual one necessarily, could be similar to a shamanic experience, okay? You could have some sort of vision, you could have some sort of message, even dreams at this point, Capricorn. There could be some sort of dream that shifts something for you, and yes, that includes daydreams. In the influence to the current position here, we have Ant. Of course, this is patience. This is what you're being asked to do while I think things are a little bit messy or uncomfortable, is really have patience not only with the process, but with yourself. This is actually part of the test or the lesson or whatever needs to be accomplished in order to get to this phase. In fact, it's paramount that patience is practiced here, because this becomes an attitude, okay? Especially if you've been impatient, or especially with yourself. I can't drive that home enough. Like, yes, it has to do with other people, but how we treat other people is usually how we treat ourselves, right? Or it's how we'd like people to treat us. So really being patient with yourself. If there's someone else in your vicinity and they're really irritating right now, it might be a good time to withdraw, particularly while you're close to the ground. Like I said, you're kind of vulnerable this week. Not necessarily emotionally, but this could bring up some emotional principles in your life. Not even negative necessarily, okay? When we say emotional, it's not always negative. Emotion, happy is an emotion, right? Joy is an emotion. So yeah, when I say emotion, it could be like this overwhelming joy, this overwhelming peace. But you're really desiring the attitude of patience, or you're being asked to, or you might even find it, you might even deny this and say, yeah, no, this doesn't require patience. I don't have time for this. And then it'll be sort of forced on you here. So I think it's sort of a matter of like, are you going to choose patience, or are you going to make it choose you here? So really just have patience with the process, whatever that is for you this week, particularly if something is messy or upsetting during the transformation stage. And generally, try to remember that this is a process. This is going to turn into something really beautiful. It just requires time. Now, here with your probable outcome, we have most. This is scrutiny. So two things that I want to mention here in particular. First is why I keep saying you're close to the ground here. Of course, there are elements of wings flying high. We have owls and butterflies, of course. Elements of air. We have a predatorial animal over here. We have a transformative animal here. But also, so this could be of the spirit or of the soul, or even of the intellect, okay? Here's where we're talking about feet on the ground. We're talking about two animals, well, an insect, I suppose, but a mammal who is extremely close to the ground, also the prey of an animal. So again, there could be an element of vulnerability here. Certainly, you don't want to create vulnerability in someone else, and you don't want someone to intimidate you while you're vulnerable. So it could be something really important to pay attention to this week, Capricorn. And I also don't think, like I mentioned earlier here, I don't think anyone's going to get anything over on you, but just beware that everyone else's antenna is up as well. So play fair. So with scrutiny here is where you're really assessing something. You're really willing to look super duper close at something. And if you can see, of course, this little mouse is obviously very, very small, but anything that they're looking close up, they can only see, you know, about 5 or 10 inches in front of their face. They can't see too far in the future. And that could, especially if you're used to having sort of plans or, you know, living a calendar type life or having goals and that type of thing, this could feel a little bit unnerving. You don't like only knowing what's going to happen tomorrow. You really need long-term planning. You really needed something to cling to here. That held your beliefs, that held your ideologies. And you might even be feeling like you're starting from scratch here. And that's where I'm reading vulnerability. Because obviously with this, we're looking at a learning stage as well. And your pride could be in the way here, Capricorn. So it's really important here, if that's the case, for you to let yourself be vulnerable. Obviously put yourself in a safe, protective space with the right people and in the right environment in order to do this. But this is what's necessary for you to figure out up close what is working for you, or even study on a studying level here. You're going to have to really look closely at something. With overall energy for the week being owl, this is, of course, its key word is deception. As I always say, it's a little bit of a misnomer, but not really. So deception is that you could be deceiving yourself, you could have deceived yourself, or you're trying to deceive someone else. That is definitely one layer of it, but it goes deeper than that, because the deception deserves to be usurped, right? It deserves to be undone. This is what you recognize about it. So, and of course, we have the owl, one of the ancient symbols of the moon, of wisdom, of the night, even goddess energy. So there could be something that you are focusing on or have an appreciation for that you didn't allow yourself an appreciation for whatever reason, or you didn't want to think about, but something's really grabbing your attention here, particularly with the esoteric or occult realms. Another way to frame that, of course, is spiritual. If you are a particularly religious person, this could be about your religion. But barring that, it's probably an ideology. It could even be cultural. Whatever you hold close to your heart that you sort of, you know, unquestioningly gone throughout your life here, this is going to create a murkiness there. That's going to create, you know, something's off balance, or you're going to be looking at something that you've always taken for granted and now you have a question about it. So yeah, you're really able to look at something deeply here if you do allow yourself, whoa, the patience. So those just flew right out. I'm going to take them. And of course, another really important theme here, I really think, now that I'm glancing back at here, is to remember that this is probably happening to other people as well. And you may not even be cognizant of this process or cognizant of how important it is for you to do this, or it is that you move through this series of things this week, but something is being shaken up for you on purpose. This is for your highest good. Right. Okay. So with retreat and miracles are two of your additional cards here. Retreat. Well, no joke. I mean, if you're this vulnerable, or if you're asking this many questions, or even willing to ask these type of questions, you're probably going to feel a little bit insecure, or it could raise feelings of insecurity, or because things are messy, you'd rather be left alone this week. Absolutely. Do what you need to do. You do need to retreat. You need to take time for yourself. You need to reconnect with Source. I like how her feet are on the ground here as well. I'm looking back at the land animals and insects here. It could be very healing for you as well, Capricorn, to actually be outside with your feet on the ground or with your feet in the grass. I'm going to mention this as well, just because it occurred to me that it might be wise for you to contemplate, if this is what's going on for you this week, to contemplate the ant and to contemplate the butterfly and the mouse, okay? If you can't physically get close to them, you can always refer to things like YouTube or, you know, the internet in general, and look at their lives, look at how they live. I do think that there's something that can be gleaned from the actual animals here. And of course, let's not forget owl. Perhaps this is, you know, a power animal for you as well. So particularly Capricorn at this point, if any of these three animals or insects, as it were, are appealing to you or, you know, intuitively calling for you, really sort of look at them a little bit more this week. See what you can glean from how they live and how they act, and you might be surprised at how you feel when you do that. There might be an enormous sense of connection, an enormous sense of humility even, and then that change here, that transformation could be rather swift. And the miracle could be that shift or transformation, in fact. And it could even just be the process is the miracle here, or just being aware that something needs to change a little bit, or you do need to go through this phase in order to become more in tune with yourself, or become even more authentic, if that's important to you. But miracles abound here, especially if, you know, this is what you're being asked to do this week in terms of how are you spending your week. So miracles are available to you, Capricorn. Your final card being Observer. No joke. Look, if possible, please get outside this week. You don't have to do it for like hours and hours. I'm just saying, like, if you see an ant, follow his movements around for a couple of minutes. If you see a butterfly, see where he moves, how he moves, and maybe contemplate his life. Same with the mouse, same with the butterfly. Observing is really, really important. In fact, it's ever more important to remain objective this week as well. And I do think it's part and parcel of the patience here that is required from you in order to get through the transformation and the scrutiny that is desired here. Okay, so that concludes your reading. If you have a second, please let me know how this works out for you. And if you're not already, you can subscribe to my channel because I upload videos for your sign every single week. So until we meet next time, take very good care, Capricorn. Bye for now.